So first of all, I should turn this one on. I should find somebody for our Giants of Female. So I chose some criteria. It should be a Scottish woman. She should have done something significant for science. And I chose Williamina Fleming. She was an astronomer at Harvard College Observatory. And she was born in Dundee, just north of here. But she moved to the US. She created a cataloging system for stars and nebulae. And she cataloged in her lifetime over 10,000 stars, 319 variable stars, and 59 nebulae, of which the most important one was the Horsehead Nebula from the Orion constellation, which is the most known one of her achievements. Second of all, this is an audience participatory presentation. So some of you may know this. If you know what it is, please raise your hand. Yeah, I'll count on you guys later. But for those who don't know, this is the Tom Nadashian mine in Scotland, where they filmed the famous killer rabbit scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I'll need your participation. You'll know when, if you've seen the movie. But this title is sort of a bit boring. I was actually afraid that nobody would show up to this because it's about VI icons. So let's spice it up a bit because I like Dungeons and Dragons. So let's switch over to slaying the dreaded default icon dragon. And here we can see the dreaded beast in its lair over here. This is my presentation, and it's I don't know if it's the best LabVIEW presentation, but it will hopefully be memorable. It's also an exercise in how to do all your icon designs or all your slide graphics in Icon Editor. So today we'll play the role of our hero. Let's name him Jesper for the sake of ease. He's a level 5 LabVIEW wizard with a shield, and he has several spells, but mostly for icons. And yes, of course, he has a shield because he used to work in tech support. So it was necessary. The villain of our story during his time, he came across this dreaded beast. And it's sort of the kind of icon that casts level 5 mental energy drain. It provides absolutely no information about, besides, of course, which part of the atrocity was spawned by the indication of the number here. And of course, if you're building icons for oscilloscopes and trying to add together the probes and red winds, that's sort of the icon that you can use it for. But besides that, it doesn't really matter. The icon is so vile that the archmages of LabVIEW actually developed customized spells for VI Analyzer to detect this one. There can, of course, be no worse icon than this except for, the VI icon based on text name that was too long for the icon. This abomination is undetectable by the spells of VI Analyzer, at least to Jesper's knowledge. The archmages of R&D had even created an incantation for the quick drop spellbook to spawn it faster, but it's so wrong on so many levels. But of course, some archmages really worship this and think it's the best idea ever, so I don't know. One day, when Jesper was out spelunking in a dungeon, he came across the Tome of Iconic Knowledge, a masterpiece in 15 chapters, and there was much rejoicing. The first chapter, we'll go through some of them. The first chapter was about templates. It discussed the layout of an icon, where things should be placed, and we're providing the guidelines to help you when the heat is on. So first of all, you must have a non-white background to contain the magic of your virtual instrument. This is the template layer, or the first page of the icon editor spellbook. You should use square icons, 32 by 32, for any icon or any VI that can cast an error spell. Additionally, you could use rectangles, 32 by 26, for anything without an arrow spell, that kind. There are several other template designs, but for the sake of brevity, we'll stick to these. And of course, you should use libraries. It's good practice. And in order to not get hit by various problems, you should create a single glyph here, suggested in the top left corner of your icon, which signifies what the library is about. You should cast one layer spell here, and then the rest should just be transparent. No borders, nothing. And then when you get to your function, you inherit that from your library, and then you can place this layer at the bottom of your stack to make sure that it doesn't step on anything. Additionally, if you don't want to use that for some reason in your icon, make sure that you hide it, don't delete it, because otherwise it will respawn at some point when you need it, when you least expect it, at least. And in olden times, some archmages, and apparently also some of my fellow developers, thought that banners of color was a really good library indicator. But as we all know, banners are for battlefields, not for icons. So, moving on. To summarize the function that you're trying to create, use a single glyph, only one, preferably. We'll come back to that in chapter 2 about the glyphs. But put that in its own layer with a new layer spell, and then keep clear boundaries between this and your library icon. Here we can see we have 1 pixel in between the 2 areas up there. And if you need to put a further indication of what this function is, could be whether it runs on Windows or Linux, it could be a system tray icon, or it could be something for server client functions. Put that in the top right corner on its own layer. Jesper thought that this would fit greatly into a template of the virtual instruments, and so it would make it easier to use, just to have this image so you know where to put stuff. That would be smart. But from above, he heard a voice. Thank you. We'll do better next time. And he quickly flipped to chapter 2. Startled by the voice, he looked at these interesting pages. And among the pages, he found one of these designs for the simple glyph. It was a clock showing the timing. And he could also read from this that it was part of the timing library, signified by the top left, of T0. So some of the guidelines was use as few glyphs as necessary, but you should also have a border, a non-white border around your instrument. Oh, yeah, it's because it's printed on black paper. Sorry about that. And what he also noticed was that somehow this clock was trying to be indicated or softened up by this gray, but that must be some sort of visual trickery when stuff becomes small, then the eyes couldn't follow along. But anyway, this would definitely be useful now that the archmages of R&D, of course, finally decided to add the zoom spell for LabVIEW. So, furthermore, the chapter dove into accentuating your glyphs with arrows, in this case for reading, when the data flows from the glyph into the block diagram. And on the other hand, when it flows directly into the glyph, it's for writing. Jesper suddenly understood that it has wasted so much time trying to place glyphs of spectacles, glasses, pencils, and not much stuff. So this was way simpler. It was much faster. And simpler was better than complex. Jesper noted that he could also add the arrows to the icon template and then just switch the template between the two, and then it would be much easier. So, another thing discussed the use of combining glyphs into a new glyph. So here we have a single glyph for a time zone, because it's the clock plus something. Additionally, this only provides one, but what if we had the list of time zones available? That would be some sort of list indicated by brackets. But there are other ways to indicate glyphs or indicate lists. it could be like this. And of course, the astute reader will notice that we now have switched to another library. It could be extending your lists in one direction, but it could also be decimating your list. And you heard again? Much better. So now we're moving to chapter 3. This is where about characters. But he was perplexed because we had one of the dreaded villains was the text icon. We didn't want to go there. But he soon realized that this was not the dark arts. This was there's something different. So in bold letters, he read just below the chapter title, "Don't use the icon text layer of laziness, cast your layer spell and draw instead." The chapter actually showed you a 5x7 icon character set that would have a 1 pixel spacing that was uniform across your icon set. Additionally, it supported both uppercase and lowercase numbers, special characters from the ASCII table of something, and of course several Greek letters because somehow you needed to do math or other spells or stuff like this. So you could also actually, with this, use different colors to signify what was input and what was functionality. So here, the match string. And notice match string for the lower, the beginning of string versus matching the end of string. Just moving a line is quite easy. And of course, he had to move on. So let's try and see if we can somehow create an icon really fast here. First of all, we need the friendly icon glyph. We'll create something for evaluating the combat round in Dungeons & Dragons. So first of all, it's about rolling dice in general. So we'll use a dice icon for the library. Additionally, we'll add the functionality glyph here indicated by crossing swords because somehow you fight. And it's not fair if mages fight fighters. And it's a round thing, so we'll accentuate it with a category glyph. But we also need to read the results. So we'll do an arrow for directionality. And by using these guidelines, you'll easily get to create stuff like this. This is from some of our reuse tools in GPower. Just makes it easier to oversee, especially when you have different things. And so I don't know how you use your LabVIEW, but I usually don't even have the text under it, just for recognizing stuff. Especially for the array part here, we can see that each of the category glyph in the third row is for the same function, but different functionalities. But it's all searching the array. And with that, we come to who am I? I'm Jesper. I work for GPower. We build custom test systems and measurement systems. I'm also a newly formed champion, developer in all categories, part of the team that managed the Summer of LabVIEW, if anybody attended. Additionally, I'm part of the board of directors at G-Central. If you want to come talk about open source and stuff like that, have reached me out. Yeah, and I'm a Scrum Master as well. But that's not important. So, questions?
If we could just have the one question, I think, just so we can move on. Dave, come on, Dave.
Thank you. So, actually, I have a couple of questions. One question is, we are developing new VIs. And as you said, the default icon is a dragon. For me, it says this is one-time use test. If you see this open VI with such icon, you can delete it without any problem. So, but we develop LabVIEW programs and particularly VIs. So in your opinion, which % of time can we afford to for creating good icons?
I would say in total, creating the icons for a VI should be done within between 2 and 5 minutes. It wouldn't take longer for this. If you recreate or save your glyphs at some point, if you create something that's reusable, a glyph, you could save it and then put it in your LabVIEW data folder under the glyph library, and then put it in your source control so that you can share it between all your developers. That significantly speeds up your process of creating the glyph because you don't have to reinvent the glyph itself every time.
So my second question, exactly result of first question.
Mm-hmm.
So I did as you said. So without sharing, to be frank. So I didn't come to this situation, and I found that I spent more time searching for my glyphs than creating new. So it should be some kind of logical way to put them in this left side folder structure. And do you have some guidelines how to organize such things?
The glyph...
Glyph library, how
yeah.
to organize it?
The way we've done it in GPower is to have a folder structure of company logos that we use for custom toolkits and symbols in general. Some things for some of our products where we have already designed the glyph if you need to pick that up and put it in a so basically thinking about your folder structure of how you want to have it available when you get to the development part. But there's ample room for restructuring the icon editor. It has looked like that since LabVIEW something. Can't remember. So basically, we could also change that part as well.
Okay, just small question. Help me. If I have some icon, how can I remove color and do it transparent in easy way, in some part?
Just in the sub part, just color the color transparent, the layer itself.
Yeah, but I have to delete it.
Shall we pick this up in the break, guys? I think we need to.
We'll take it in the chat.
Thanks, Jesper. Nice one.